Enrolling Mastery.
So I get quite a bit of messages asking me about, like, what's your story? How'd you get into coaching and all these things? So I'm going to do a video here on explaining that because I'm tired of doing it when people message me. Originally, I'm from Rhode Island. I lived there for 25 years. All kinds of jobs. I was like hustling. First real job was washing dishes at like 12 years old, and I had other jobs in between. But then when I got out of high school, I got a job at CVS, which was a cool job, actually, working the night shift from 10 at night to 8 in the morning. And I actually met my wife from there, so it was fantastic. And I did all other kinds of jobs, right? I worked at a nutrition store, which was a fun job. I got to practice guitar most of the day when there was no customers. Delivered pizza, taught guitar lessons at 2 different music stores. I was a bouncer. I was doing all these things at the same time. Then I waited to go visit my friend from high school in California until I turned 25, because at the time you couldn't rent a car till you're 25. I don't know how it is now. I went to visit him. I don't know. We just having a good time. It was pretty awesome. And I don't know why. For some reason, he dared me that I couldn't get a job selling cars. I have no idea why he was selling cars, but when you're young, you think you can do anything. So I went to a dealership. And I went inside, and now keep in mind, I never sold cars. I never really had a sales job. I didn't know anything about cars. I'm not one of these people who just like love cars. Like I didn't even care, Go to the receptionist and I say, who do I have to talk to about getting a job here selling cars? And she takes like an application, she throws it in my face. She goes, fill this out. Kind of rude, right? And I just smile at her and I said, I'm not filling anything out until I talk to the person who does the hiring. So some manager comes out and he's like, are you the guy that doesn't want to fill out the application? And I'm like, no, I'm the guy who wanted to talk to the person who does the hiring. Hi, I'm Mike. I put my hand out, shake his hand, and he brings me to the back office to talk to these other car guys, all the managers, I guess, right? They start kind of razzing in on me, saying you're kind of underdressed for a job interview. And I had like a Tommy Hilfiger shirt, but back in the day, that was pretty nice. I don't know what it is now, but I was dressed, I had some khaki shorts on, and it was, I thought I looked really good, right? He said, you kind of underdressed for an interview, and I go, what are you talking about? I look good. I look better than you guys with your $20 polo shirts on. And they just loved it. And anyway, they wanted to hire me, but they had to wait till Monday to talk to the owner. And I'm like, I have a plane ticket to fly out, I think on Saturday it was. And I couldn't believe they couldn't make a decision without the owner. I even said that to him. But anyway, then I went to another place. I ended up getting a job. Knew nothing about selling cars. Spent all my money except like $100. And everything worked out because all my jobs, like I had my friend Norman take over my hours bouncing in at the nutrition store. My friend Matt took over my guitar lessons at one store. My friend Kevin took another store. And I had some other friends, Gino and I think Jamie and some other people, take over my delivering of pizza. I pretty much was covered. So I ended up staying, trying to sell cars, and it was hard. I failed at first. And I found some old VHS tapes. That's how long ago this was. And I found one guy, and I found a whole bunch, but all of them were crap. And what they were teaching me, I didn't know what to do. I just knew that wasn't going to be it. Because if anyone talked to me like that, I want to punch him in the face. So I'm not going to talk to people like that. Anyway, so I invested in training. I called this guy up. He's a real popular guy now, but at the time, he only did car sales training. And he was different. So I call up, and I'm like, I have no money. They were cassette tapes, actually. It was like a whole bunch of them. I don't even know how many cassette tapes. Maybe like 15 or 12 or 15 or something. And anyway, long story short, I start grinding the girl on the phone for like a discount. I just moved out here. Keep in mind, I had no clothes, and I had to buy like shirts and ties. I put everything on credit cards. Like I had no money. I just kind of was like, well, I can always go back home and live with my mom again and get jobs and figure it out. I've got clothes for it, but I'm not really doing that great. I'm selling cars here and there, but I'm not doing fantastic, right? Anyway, I call up. I start grinding this girl, and she puts me through. And the guy, his name is Grant Cardone, and he wasn't the 10X guy. He wasn't anything. He was just a car sales trainer. So he closes me hard. Long story short, I end up buying the tapes. He gave me like I think a 10% or 15% discount, gave me back to the girl. And I listen to one side of the tapes when they come in. I go to work, and some guy gives me some objection on the lot. And I go, oh, I just heard this. So I say the line, and unbelievably, it worked. And I sold the car. I was like, holy cow. And the car was they call it a $300 flat. And that's what I paid for the tapes. It was like $300. So I listened to one side of the tape, and I got all my money back. And I was sold. I was like, yeah. And this is probably the first time I really started investing in myself. And everyone at the dealership, but keep in mind, told me this doesn't work. It's just garbage. You're getting scammed. And I was sold after that first thing. So I just kept doing my own thing. I started in August of 99, like August 15th is the day I was supposed to go back. And I actually started that day. December, I end up, really implementing the stuff. After like a month or two of listening to it, I made like $5,000, which was a lot of money for me at that time. It was like unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I bought like some Ferragamo shoes for $300. I bought a suit to come back home to see my girlfriend, who's now my wife. That's how I pretty much got into sales and investing in myself. And I kept training. I made over 6 figures selling cars. And I did all kinds of positions. I started off as a salesperson, closer. I had like a team of sales guys that I would close the deals for. I was a finance manager. And then eventually I was a sales manager when I came to Arizona at a place called Avondale Toyota. But anyways, I worked at Honda and Toyota mostly. And then when I was working there, I got hurt. I was playing basketball with a friend. I wish I could tell you it was something amazing. It was a game of horse with me and my buddy, my wife, and his girlfriend. And I ended up getting hurt. I had a patella tendon, needed a repair. It was horrible. I looked down, my kneecap was like 6 inches up my leg. I was out of work.
Ah! 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 Ah!
I was out of work. It was a tough time. And I was home, and it was like a lot of soul searching. And I realized, like, man, I want to have a job that's fun. I ended up leaving that place, and I decided I want to have a job that was fun. So I thought about 2 places at the time that I seemed to have fun. Was like Starbucks was pretty cool, and like Apple. I go into Apple for some classes, and not that there's anything wrong with it, making coffee and stuff, but Apple seemed more of a fit. I went in and then got a job at Apple, so that was pretty cool. I learned how Apple sold things, which was really interesting because it's not like they don't teach you to sell. They teach you how to talk to people. It's really a slick way of selling. I didn't realize, oh my God, this is actually sales training these guys are teaching, but it's not sales. It has nothing to do with sales, but you sell a lot of things. Now keep in mind, I get it. Apple, people that are into Apple, they're already pre-sold. You don't have to do much selling, so I get that. But one of the things I learned at Apple was learning how to communicate with people and put people at ease. Because a lot of people that came to the store had problems with their phone, they dropped it in water, the screen broke, something happened, wasn't working. So being able to take someone that's really hot and like pissed, right, and neutralize that and make them feel heard, understood, and that we're going to do everything we can to help them. That plays into like future things where I get into other sales, right? So that was like a huge thing. And then I started working with the business team where I would work with companies to implement Apple technologies in their business. So I had thousands of conversations with business owners. I learned a lot. I knew marketing a little bit, but I really learned what businesses struggle with, what they need. I heard how they talked about things and then how to use the technology. So that was essential. I started a local marketing agency, right, called Local Business Ninja, kind of cheesy name, but it was awesome. My buddy Ray created an awesome logo for me and everything. And I did that for a while I was working at Apple, which was great. And then my son was born. This kind of ties into what I did later. But when he was born, my wife really liked her job, and I liked what I did, but it was like I wasn't making like great money working at Apple. I was making okay, but it wasn't like the money I was making in the car business, but I was having fun. So I said, hey, I can look after the kid and go down to part-time. They're pretty flexible with me there. So that's what we did. We decided. My wife went back to work, and I went down to part-time, and I worked weekends, and I worked some nights. It was awesome. I spent all days, Monday through Friday, with my son. My mother-in-law would watch him on Mondays for a little bit so I could get some work done. But other than that, I spent a lot of time with my boy, which was amazing. After working for Apple for a while, about 6 years or so, a little over 6 years, then I got this opportunity to work from home and make way more money and have a really flexible schedule. And it was doing more marketing things. So it was like really cool and creative stuff. It was awesome. My buddy got me the job and we started working there. And I'm like, I know marketing. I know you have to track everything. You have to know what's working, what's not working. Like you have to track everything. And the way this business was working, this is a huge business, huge company, $1 billion business. They weren't able to track anything, like whether we did it or not. And I was like, how can they even pay us? This is ridiculous. They can't even create a tangible outcome of what we're doing because the way the system was. And I was like, whatever. The money was good. I was working from home in coffee shops. And it was awesome. It was awesome for like about 9 months. And then that job ended because they ended the position. I should have known, right? Because if you can't track it, then how do you know if we're doing anything or not? Like I was doing stuff, but even the stuff that was working or not working, we couldn't tell. Now, keep in mind, meanwhile, at Apple and other jobs, people have always come to me for advice. They know I'm a straight shooter. If anyone knows me, I don't blow smoke up people's butt. If people want an honest opinion, they ask me because they know I'm not going to sugarcoat things. So at this time, I had a friend that he wanted me to coach him. He's like, dude, this is great. I want you to coach me. You want to pay me? So I'm like, all right, cool. And then he sent me his daughter, and I started doing this coaching, helping people out on the side, like just talking and just doing my thing. Right. And then I realized, no, I really like this coaching thing. I want to learn how to do this. I think one of the things was after the car business so long, like almost 9 years in it, and then Apple for like 6 years, I realized that I was really good at communicating with people and listening to people, talking to people, because I had hundreds of thousands of interactions, like literally over 15, 18 years, whatever, hundreds of thousands of them. And I noticed that people would, when I talked to them, they would tell me things I would think, wow, this is pretty, they're opening up really quick. Like I knew this person 5 minutes and they tell me stuff they say I never told anybody. And I thought about that, like, wow, like why are they doing that? Right? Because I mean, I listened, I cared about people, I honestly care, right? But I realized that there was no judgment. Like if they tell me something outrageous, I wouldn't judge them on it. It wasn't like there was nothing. So they felt comfortable and they opened up to me. Right? That ability to be able to connect with people, whether it's a little kid or a 90-year-old person, it was really valuable. And now for years, I didn't know this. I had no idea. But now these things are coming out when I'm coaching because people are opening up and getting people to go deep and expose things. It was like just trusted my gut and cared about people. And then I started learning more. I'm like, oh, that's why that's working. And then I really learned how to coach. Decided I want to start a coaching program. And I thought to myself, well, me coming from car sales and knowing that how important sales is, and I knew that trying to sell coaching was not even anything close to selling a car. I know enough to know if I tried to do it that way, it would be horrible and wouldn't work. So I signed up for this program that was called Master of Enrollment by Bill Barron. Cool program. I got a huge book from it. Really long process, but it was great for me at the time because it did one thing. It allowed me to invest in myself like at that level. And I got scared after I did it, right? I wanted to cancel. I even messaged them. And then I said, you know what? Like, just come on, go. So I went in with it all the way. And then after I did that, I was like, okay, cool. I feel pretty comfortable now how to apply what I know with people and everything into enrolling. So I need to create a coaching program. And I saw this high ticket program was really expensive. I invested in it. It was a ton of money. But doing that $1,200 program gave me the confidence to do one that was like, I don't know, 7 times the price or something, maybe more. Yeah, I did that. And it was terrifying. On week 5, they told me I should change my topic because what I really wanted to do is I see all these entrepreneurs and coaches and business people. If they're crushing it in business, usually something else is sacrificing. Not always, but a lot of them, I noticed the pattern. And I was like, man, I want to help dads connect with their kids because I got to spend so much time with my son. It was amazing. And since I knew a lot about productivity, I knew a lot about sales and marketing, I figured I could do this. But when I was in the program, a lot of people were struggling with sales and I was just giving them tips and helping them out. And they were getting success from just me just talking to them really quick. And the owner of the program is like, you have to do something around sales. So I'm like, okay. So I created a whole thing of week 5 out of an 8-week program on sales and everything else for helping coaches enroll people, put that out. And end of the day, like the Facebook ads strategy didn't work for me. And I was just struggling and putting a lot of money into it. I didn't end up getting the results that I wanted. But someone from the program who was getting calls booked really cheap said, hey, I'm really struggling with my sales. I'll help you with your ads if you help me with sales. And I'm like, okay, cool. So she was enrolling at a 4% enrollment rate. Her and her partner had one sale in the last 2.5, 3 months. And it was like for $4,000 or something like that, right? So I worked with her in like 10 days and listening to a ton of her calls, breaking it down. She went from a 4% enrollment rate to like a 22% enrollment rate. Bottom line is she went from making $4,000 in like say 2-3 months to making like close to $26,000 in 10 days. And she made more after that, right? So big success for her. Wanted me to change my webinar, all this other stuff. She put the ads up and they just didn't work. I didn't even get one opt-in. But I did learn I can help people with sales and with coaching stuff. So someone recruited me to do sales for a coach. So I thought with my background in sales and all the training I did that I would just absolutely crush it. But I failed miserably. I wasn't enrolling clients and was struggling to connect with people on the phone. I realized the issue wasn't the product or service I was selling. I realized the problem was the process and the script I was using to sell it. The process wasn't in alignment with my character. It was costing me thousands of dollars a month, potentially millions of dollars over years. I ended up realizing I had to stop following scripts handed to me from these high-ticket programs and instead started following specific frameworks that makes it unreasonable not to enroll anybody who's struggling with the problems that I solve. It led me to being more myself on the sales calls and created higher levels of certainty and conviction on the calls. One of the things that I do is help people ditch their long, bloated scripts that are in someone else's voice and how to own their power by speaking their truth. I help coaches struggling to convince prospects to buy, achieve a 30 to 60% enrollment rate, and scale past 60K in the next 90 days. If that's something that interests you, then reach out to me.